ROG DreamLeague live here at DreamHack Summer. It is already day 3 and it is the grand finals. As said, Na'Vi, Virtus.pro. We just saw game 1 and most of our predictions already not really on point, or at least it can still happen. It was only game 1, but I think I at least was very impressed with the way Virtus.pro played that game. And I'm curious to hear from you guys, was it Virtus.pro that played like amazingly well? Or was maybe Na'Vi like warm-up game?
Well, first of all, I think all of our predictions still hold true, right?
Yeah,
no one's 3-0 for Na'Vi, so we're okay.
Yeah.
No panic.
We can still be right.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a combination. I think Virtus.pro played a really solid game. Some uncharacteristic mistakes from Na'Vi as well this game. Funnick seemed to have a very little impact this game on his Spirit Breaker. The Earthshaker of art style also got caught out of position a couple times, which he's usually pretty good at not getting caught like that. But what might have thrown them off a lot this game was actually the Night Stalker last pick from Virtus that really allowed them during the nighttime to get a lot of information and vision and force the mistakes and take advantage of it. And again, a Bristleback that I feel like is just not counterpicked. Like, this hero to me, you cannot just let him farm and not have a plan. And maybe Na'Vi had a plan that I don't see. I think if they had one, it was maybe just split pushes. He split pushes so fast that the team fight doesn't break out and Bristle has to go back, or they outnumber them because someone else has to pour back. But the timing window Virtus.pro hit, Bristleback was almost invincible.
Yeah, and honestly, the Night Stalker as well, like having such mobile cores and then last picking Night Stalker to just have that crippling fear to silence it for so long. Like you saw Dendy just being completely shut down a few times in these fights just by this silence alone. Like.
What did you think about the game, Lumi?
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the anti-mage pick right after the Shadow Shaman pickup. That just already makes no sense. Andy pointed out during the commentators, what is anti-mage really going to kill if Leshrac has a BKB? Night Stalker doesn't care, Bristleback doesn't care, Rubik's going to have Blink, so he's going to blink away, Leshrac's going to have BKB, so already you have a fairly difficult to fight hero against a lineup that wants to fight into you. Also, this is the second time we've seen Bristleback versus Puck. Puck could just string coil and Bristleback says, okay, I'm gonna just keep quill spraying and hit your team, and that's exactly what we saw. So either you take out the Bristleback or you prepare for it. I think in that game there was not any Silver Edge holders. You could argue that Funnick could get one, but from an offlane position as a Spirit Breaker, he was not gonna farm one. And the other thing was Shadow Shaman just single-handedly zones out pretty much any single offlane that's melee, especially when your survival spell is trying to charge out. He'll just hex you or shackle you, and you're just stuck there. So I feel like this is a very uncharacteristically bad draft from Na'Vi.
Okay. One thing that I really liked about the Shadow Shaman was that whenever Virtus.pro won a fight, they could actually push straight off the back of it. Now yesterday we saw Na'Vi pick up a Dragon Knight. That solved the problem as being able to push right after they want to fight. Natural Silver Edge carrier as well. And they were actually able to beat Bristleback in that game from Virtus.pro. So I'm really hoping that perhaps they're going to be picking that one up this time. And maybe we're seeing a Shadow Shaman ban even. Who knows what can happen. But we were having a lot of fights this game. And one of them has been selected for the drawing board, which can't draw. But it's time for Shane Analytics.
Welcome to the drawing board. I missed you, Syndron.
Oh, I missed.
All right,
yeah.
We're 30 minutes in. Let's watch this fight. We're not going to draw, though, as Shiver said. All right, so straight away, Illidan BKBs and goes straight into the fight. And Soniko is kind of like, what else can we do except use his ulti on him? Like, there's no other way to lock him down in these team fights. And he tried to save Funnick on RSR on the Earthshaker, but it just didn't really work. Then he gets an amazing Dream Coil, like absolutely amazing. But they don't really have any follow-up for it at all.
The only thing that a host can do, I mean, first he jumps in, gets hexed, gets shackled, and then he is able to kill off the Shadow Shaman, but other than that, like, he has to back off. That's all he can do.
They just kite him, and the second his BKB's down, he can't, like, re-engage into the team fight. And you see in the background here, then these Blink gets cancelled by Earn from Phobos, and then he just gets crippling feared and just walk down. And Lil actually, as usual, like, honestly, this Lil guy, I don't know what he had for breakfast, like, but he's a monster, like, seriously.
I think in this fight, you saw So when we started the clip, correct me if I'm wrong, Illidan has the BKB on immediately when they jump on the Shaker, right?
Yeah.
So I think Frost in this fight actually misses an opportunity for a decent mana void, and he does get it off. You saw it like 10 seconds ago. He kills Leshrac solo, but there's actually like a small timing window where I think Lesh has half mana and he's surrounded by 2 or 3 heroes. That could have been an opportunity to drop it. I think if he hesitates, in that particular situation, he hesitates a little bit too much with it. Of course, it's tempting to hit Lesh a couple of times and then drop the mana void, but sometimes you can't get away with that. I don't know if they could have won the fight. I think they might have had a slight opening there, but regardless, they were under so much pressure that he had to play the perfect fight to even get him a chance.
I think the actual plan with the Winter Wyvern and Anti-Mage in this game was for Leshrac. So you Winter Wyvern Leshrac, everyone's attacking him, and then you Anti-Mage ulti and you blow them all up. Like, but
they positioned well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying outdraft, mostly?
Well, I don't think so necessarily. I think Andy said it pretty well. It could have definitely worked.
Yeah.
If a couple of the skirmishes early on went a bit better. I think they got outplayed in the early game, and when they get outplayed in the early game, then they're outdrafted in the mid game. So, you know, the one thing I guess you could highlight that I still think was a problem was the bristleback. That's the only real issue for me here, is that they don't have a way of dealing with the bristle, and because of that, he walks and he's like a wall, right? He's a wall that walks in front of the Lesh.
And in front of the Shadow Shaman wards as well, when they're pushing.
And then they put those wards down.
Yeah.
So for the next game, what are we looking forward to? I mean, I mentioned the Dragon Knight. Really see that possibly working out, especially if the bristleback once again makes it through. What else? What other heroes do we want to see coming out from Na'Vi to maybe have a better shot at game 2?
Just second phase ban the bristle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Get it away so you don't have to worry about it. Or if you let it through, you definitely you need some sort of minus armor, or like you said, a Silver Age carrier. Heroes that have been doing decently well against Bristle lately have been Shadow Fiend and Slaughter compositions, for example, with minus armor and single target.
Something like Bane as well, just to completely lock him down in the fights.
Are you sure you're suggesting Bane right now?
Nightmare. Oh, he's good against Bristle. So, I
just want to set that straight. You kind of went off on Bane yesterday.
Oh, I just think Bane is really good against Bristle. I just think Alliance were picking it like almost every single game without necessarily it being a great pick for the game, but just a pick for their player. So that's what I was criticizing them for, not getting the hero in general. They just seem to favor it too much. Maybe other teams favor it too little. Who knows?
Fair enough. Lumi, what do you want to see from the next game?
So this is the 4th game that these two teams have played in this particular tournament, and one trend that we've seen is that teamfight generally lasts for a long time. It's back and forth. I think so. Both teams should be drafting more mobility heroes that could benefit from blink daggers. Another thing is I think Timbersaw has sorely been ignored. Timbersaw, one of the better heroes against Bristleback, being able to deal pure damage, reduce his strength, and in these fights that drag out for a long time, he could just go straight onto a support, and it's very difficult for these supports to play around a guy that could deal so much burst damage. It's a hero that Funnick plays extremely well as well. So I'm not sure if it's going to get picked, but I feel like mobility and high burst damage heroes is the go-to picks, in my opinion.
I would love to see Timber. That hero is super fun and never gets picked, unfortunately. Used to be a pretty big pick.
Did we see it earlier this tournament? Not in the LAN Finals. I mean, the group stages, maybe. It was a long time ago.
I mean, is there any reason why you don't think the hero's pick? Syndrin?
Huh? What's that, sorry?
Is there any reason why you don't think the hero's picked that much? Or at all? He seems just good.
He obviously really struggles against BKB, and a lot of cores get BKBs nowadays, but they have for a long time, so I don't think that's a good enough argument. Maybe his inability to peak at the right time. Like, teams are doing a pretty good job knocking down towers early, fighting for Roshan fairly early as well. And Timber is one of those heroes who, yes, he's great with levels, but you kind of want to get that one core item up first. And he's played in the offlane position, so if he gets shut down, that hero is fairly weak without farm. Like, you can, if you land your combo perfectly, he's incredible with nothing. But that's very, very situational. Whereas if you have like a Bloodstone, you can land like a half-decent engage, and then you still at least soak up a lot of damage and maybe get a reinitiate some.
Well, we're going to find out what the two teams have in store for each other, because it is time to go into the draft of the 2nd game of the Grand Finals, Na'Vi versus Virtus.pro, with Odie, Pixel, and Draskell.